Hi class, so I wanted to give a little explanation about lesson 4.2. It's called Triangle Congruence Postulates. Congruence is related to the word congruent, which means equal to or the same. And the postulates, there's 5 of them, all right? But those 5, here it says no bad words unless HL. HL is one of the postulates, but the whole no bad words comment, that's because if you notice, look at the letters we're using here, here, here. They're all A's and S's. Well, if you make a bad word out of A's and S's, you'd be spelling ASS. That's not a postulate, okay? So anytime you're looking at sides that are marked up and you're going, oh, I made an ASS, or even backwards, SSA, remember that if it spells a bad word, forwards or backwards, there is no such postulate, so that's not true. They're not congruent. Okay, so let's talk about the postulates. First, we have side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and then the fifth one is HL, which stands for hypotenuse leg. The only time you can ever have HL is if it's a right triangle, okay? And if you remember back on the front here, I said no bad words unless HL. Well, in a right triangle, you'll recognize that it's a right triangle because it has a box right here. Now, even though it's a box and not an arc, it's still an angle. It's just a right angle. Here you have a side marking, and here you have a side marking. That line, the slanted line that's across from the right angle, that is the hypotenuse, and these are known as the legs. So if you have a hypotenuse marked and you have a leg marked, notice that you have an angle, a side, and a side, ASS. That spells the bad word. And you don't actually write ASS though, you write HL. So the only time you can ever actually have a bad word is when it's a right triangle, but we don't call it ASS, we call it HL, okay? The sides and the angles. What I want to show you first is that a triangle has 6 parts, okay? Typically, if you ask somebody to describe a triangle, they say, oh, it's got 3 sides. Well, it doesn't have just 3 sides. It also has 3 other parts, 3 angles, hence triangle. So you have side markings that are tick marks. You always see these little tick marks represent side markings. They're not always just one tick mark because they might be different measurements. You can see here's a single tick that matches with that one, so those sides are congruent. Here's some double tick marks that match up, so they're congruent to each other, and the triple ticks, which means they're congruent to each other. All right. So you have these 3 sides, and then you have these 3 angles. Right? Angles are marked up with an arc or a box if it's a right triangle. And the angles can do the same thing as the sides. It might be a single arc, it might be a double arc, it might be a triple arc, okay? Just to help you realize which angles actually match up with each other. But here is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. And they always alternate, you know, as you move around the triangle, because this is the direction you're gonna have to move, either going around to the right or going around to the left. You don't wanna just kind of hop around in a random order. So notice I go from an angle, next part is a side, next part is an angle, and then a side, angle, side, angle, and then just keep alternating, okay?